here, healthhacksreview.com. By the way, my website is still under construction in different ways, so some links don't work. If you have any issues watching stuff or getting content on any kind of health product, just send me an email. That'll be below in the description below the video. Best way to get in contact with me. I also have like years worth of product research. Anyways, this sauna brand here I'm doing a review on just because I have been hearing more and more people bring it up. Only recently, just for, everybody buys saunas this time of the year, right? And then they're doing this big sale. So I have been meaning to do a review on them for years. I've been in the industry before the company ever existed. And funny enough, it's really more myself and somebody in years past that I was working with started to we didn't coin the term medical sauna, but we used a lot of content and keywords on medical grade sauna, which I think the company picked up that kind of term and made a whole kind of quote unquote branding concept out of it. So again, this is a review video. It's going to teach you a lot on just kind of how to discern what's what in this industry, because there's just kind of a lot of unsubstantiated claims a lot of companies make when really their saunas are pretty much nearly identical to a lot of other rebrands. So that's what you kind of learn in this video, is how to really discern this company's marketing and the right types of questions to ask as you're doing your due diligence on this. Anyways, medical grade sauna is not even something that we coined. There was a couple companies 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago, that really were talking about like grade of components in their saunas that were clean, so to say. So again, that kind of terminology has been around for quite some time. So just so you know, just to be clear, there are other brands currently right now that have very clean ingredients. Not clean ingredients, sorry, I deal with a lot of products. Clean suppliers, so the components, you don't have to worry about the risks of off-gassing and things like that, okay, that already exist, okay? So medical sauna isn't necessarily offering anything new, okay? So let's just start there. Assuming they are actually offering what they are claiming, okay? So more than 50% off. So let's start here. Actually, let's start here. Okay, so the only sauna company developed by 48 doctors. Again, this is a critique on my personal opinions on kind of the marketing piece here, but you guys can read between the lines and kind of just learn to do your own due diligence from this video. The only sauna company developed by 48 doctors. Okay, well, in my history in the industry and researching all the various companies out there and watching them all progress over the years, you don't need doctors, okay, to make a good sauna. All right, you don't. Okay. So as I said, there is already certifications in place with saunas, okay, that protect you, the consumer, from an electrical standpoint. Okay, so safety, like it won't catch fire and risk of burning your house, which actually happened often, and there's many different companies that went bankrupt over the last 20 plus years due to that, and lawsuits. Okay, so safety for electrical. Then also certain certifications, ROHS and other things that have to do with off-gassing components. Okay, so you'd assume that first off, like, yes, I don't want toxicity in my sauna, right? I want to make sure that this company is controlling and selecting their own suppliers for whatever factory is producing their saunas, okay? So first off, I would want some clear evidence that this company is in fact selecting their own suppliers according to certain standards, okay? And they're sending said supplies or components to whatever factory. And I don't care where that factory is, okay? I have no problem with China, for example. There are a couple companies that do exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Super high grade suppliers, and they're sending it to a factory in China where then they can actually have a really high quality sauna, but produced for less, right? The labor is less. Hey, that's awesome, okay? As long as they also have in place some way of monitoring that that factory is continuing to use those components, okay? And I know, but this is the tricky aspect of producing over there, okay? As long as they have also some way, and they're proving to you, to monitor, okay, what that factory is doing. Okay, so right there is a question, correct? Right. And yes, you do have to go to such lengths. It's kind of ridiculous, but like the couple companies I know that produce over there, they're usually flying over there personally, like the heads of the company or whatever, to China, to the factory, inspecting, evaluating, and there's other ways of doing inspections on those different production runs over there, and that factory is showing evidence of those inspections before they're actually imported. Okay, so you have to know that piece of things. Okay, and the reason you have to know that, by the way, is absolutely there will be factories over there that will promise, say, a United States sauna company something, but actually be lying to them. That's super normal, not just in saunas, but many categories. It's crazy, right? Yeah. So a company owner might say, "Oh yeah, it's definitely blah 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 blah. You can trust that, right? That's what the factory said." Well, really, it sounds ridiculous, but that owner of that company or whoever says that, they might also be being deceived. It's crazy. So you kind of have to follow up further and be like, well, how do you know that? Whatever this claim is that they're making, how do you know that? How do you know that that factory is doing X, Y, and Z? So do you see, even from the beginning, it's a lot. It's complicated to discern this industry in some respects. So to build a great sauna, you don't need doctors, but this is part of the branding concept. Medical sauna, Caduceus, Hippocrates, do no harm, right? The whole medical sort of branding. Whoops, I clicked on that. It took me somewhere. Safer than your hairdryer. That's generally true. The electrosmog is generally less than a hairdryer. That's true. Anyways, okay, so back to the review here. So no, you don't need 48 doctors. And honestly, it's kind of odd, right? Like, why would you have 48 doctors make a sauna? Like, a sauna is not that complicated. It's just super weird. Anyways, and just even think about the logic of things. What I just shared with you, how technical and complicated it is just to work with a factory and source specific components and know what to look for with wood quality. You know what I mean? Like, what doctor went to medical school and is trained on that level of manufacturing? What do they know about safety electrical standards? Like, what does a doctor know about that? You know what I mean? Do you want to trust the doctor, or you want to trust with somebody who like really knows electrical and they're electrical engineer and they have a really good track record? Like, shouldn't you trust that guy? Or maybe the certifications like ETL, for example, and certain certifications around that. Like, there's whole laboratories set up for electrical safety standards and quality. Like, that's their job. It's not the job of a doctor to do safety electrical standards. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you really like break this down, like, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, these are the wrong people. Like, it's just as silly as saying 48 crossing guards or 48 dry cleaners, right? I mean, think about it. Is that any more ridiculous? It's just the wrong profession. It really doesn't have very much to do with manufacturing, okay? And if we say, okay, but it's about like, how safe and healthy is the sauna, which I'm a big proponent of, because 85+% of brands use plywood and a lot of other crap that can risk off-gassing in the sauna. Now we're asking the question of, okay, cool, so what certification bodies, organizations are guaranteeing that this sauna is safe, okay, the production quality? Where do you see on the website anything about certifications that have to do with the safety of the sauna and no risk of off-gassing? Where? Let's just click on one, okay? Well, my point is, by the way, I'm getting to is that I haven't found it anywhere. Okay, so, just scrolling down here. Again, I never really found anything anywhere. I did request a lot of different information from the company, okay, through their chat, and they said, give us your phone number, and we can also talk about pricing with you. So I said, well, I gave you my email. I'm just requesting some kind of basic information, which I will go over in this video. And yeah, they just wouldn't give me anything. Okay, so that's the first contact I had with them. Wouldn't give me anything. Okay, so let's get back. Again, this is gonna be a thorough review, but it's also gonna teach you how to be discerning in general. Okay, so I really encourage you to watch this to the end, because I've been in this industry for years. So by the end of this, you just really, nothing will slip by you. Okay, and then all right, and then at the end of the day, I just don't want you guys to overpay. Okay, what would be an example of overpaying? Well, I wouldn't really go much beyond, for one person size, I wouldn't go much beyond like anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 for one person. And really, you should probably be sticking more around like 2,500 to 3,500 range. Yeah, Maybe a couple exceptions depending on where it's going or if it's more of like a commercial location, things like that. So this company it's legit. There is actually a 50% off sale, but their whole concept and branding premise was to kind of help consumers really think there's like something really medical going on here. And then if they priced them higher than any other brands on the market, which is what they did, because they were so significantly higher priced, that in the minds, this is just sales and marketing. This is a strategy, and there's all kinds of research around this. You price something really high, and then people basically value the customer values it more. So that's basically the marketing strategy that they're doing, and then they're kind of then trying to back and justify that higher price point with the concept of something being unique and medical here. And by the way, it's not the only product category that's done this. This is done in other types of product categories I've seen. And it does work quite well from that standpoint of sales, getting more sales and convincing the customer, the consumer. So anyway, so we talked about that. Now let's talk about like what makes it so medical. Okay, at least according to how they're trying to portray it. So if you get onto the research page here and scroll down, documented research. Okay, so yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that, yeah, hold on a second. Just clarifying that I am correct that this is a study that is not done with this actual sauna itself. So that's one thing that you have to always, not just with this product, but with any product, is you always have to say, okay, cool, this is a great study, and it is a great study. I mean, infrared saunas are awesome. There's a lot of different research, regular saunas, infrared, different applications of infrared. So, great study, right? But you also always have to do your due diligence and see, okay, hold on a second, is this sauna done with the specific brand product that I'm evaluating right now, right? Okay, so a lot of this is done a lot in the PEMF category as well, and to kind of give the impression that a brand or company is associated with research studies and efficacy, even though actually their brand hasn't been studied, or their specific product hasn't been studied, and that's okay for infrared saunas in general, because infrared saunas are rather simple. Like most of the emitters, carbon emitters, whatever, they perform nearly identical, okay, to each other. So if you were looking at an infrared sauna study, this could apply the benefits of this to pretty much any sauna, okay, any infrared sauna. So that's cool. It's fine. It's great to educate your consumer. This is great. But again, just to be clear, this is not like technically like a medical sauna research study, okay? And in fact, it looks like they were actually studying. Let me just make sure my video is still playing here. Yeah, so this is weird, right? Check this out. A recent 30-year prospective study showed that lifelong sauna use reduces cardiovascular related blah, 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 blah. However, the adaptations, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but in this specific study, 8 weeks, they're putting them in a hot bath, hot water. Now, some of these biomarker changes, I 100% believe are applicable, okay, to other forms of heat therapy for several reasons, okay? This is not rocket science. But I just want to be clear and just kind of make the point of, do you see how it's kind of like, I don't know. If you want to get all super technical about it, it's like the study that this company even cites, it has to do with taking hot baths, right? So, you know what I mean? And they're putting it under documented research with their sauna. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, anyways. And there's a lot of other sauna studies out there. I don't know why they're doing baths. Although it is actually, as I think, there's some relevance here, and it's a good study and stuff like that. But again, I just want to make the clarity here that, again, when we're looking at these studies, and these are all great studies, and there's much more than even this, that should convince you guys that sauna is great. It's a great modality. But again, the reason why it's put here and the studies are cited is in part to build the concept, the branding concept of medical saunas. Okay, like this sauna is is somehow devised around these studies, okay, or that there's some like cross correlation with the creation of this and with the 48 doctors. Do you see how the marketing of this works? Okay, but actually these sauna studies and bath studies, I guess too. What this actually should do for you is just encourage you in general to consider doing sauna therapy and buying a sauna, not necessarily the specific brand. Okay, because anybody that has infrared emitters in a sauna, okay, and it heats up to a certain degree, is going to get these benefits. Does that make sense? So it's generic, just to be clear. Okay, so let's back up a second. Okay, so again, because remember that in your mind you're trying to justify a very high price point, and when this sale is over, I mean, you know, these are really high prices. Okay, so now you really have to justify, instead of spending $11,999, could I get another sauna for $3,000, you know, $4,000 at most? And would that also give me the same benefits? Okay, and the short answer is yes, it would. Okay, it would give you the same benefits. Is there anything entirely unique about this? No. Inside of this sauna, so let's dive in here. Inside of this sauna, you see carbon emitters on the wall. Okay, most of these are spec'd out to be almost identical. One way that you can analyze and tell the difference between carbon emitters is their watt density, like how many watts total, and what's the square inches of each of the panels, and then you just simply divide, and you can find out the watts per square inch. Okay, that's one thing you can do. The other is you can find out the emissivity rating. The emissivity rating, which is a way of measuring the infrared efficiency of carbon, or of any infrared emitting emitter. Okay, whether it's ceramic or tubular rods or heat lamp or this carbon sort of emitter. Okay, so that would be something technical. Like, I want to know why this is more efficient, why this has a higher output, because I'm trying to go for the maximum therapeutic effect. Like, in the mind of in your mind, wouldn't that make sense, right? If you asked that question and then you were doing your due diligence, yes, it would. So now you would expect to find in this list of benefits here, there would be some sort of information about what I just explained. Okay, so we got ultra full spectrum heater. Those aren't the carbons. Let's see, where's the carbons here? There's really nothing, right? There's nothing when it comes to actually talking about the therapeutic elements of an infrared sauna. Interesting, right? There's nothing that speaks to the actual emitters, what I just told you, and the specifications of those emitters. Okay, so again, we're looking here, talking about hemlock. You know, generally a lot of companies use hemlock. It is durable, but it's also the cheapest wood, so it's a really good like profit margin. That's why some companies use it. It's also not the most hypoallergenic compared to poplar and basswood, just by the way. So from the perspective of what would be considered more a medical grade sauna, I would choose a wood type that is a little bit more hypoallergenic. Interesting, right? Documented research. Again, they just got heaters and a box. I mean, let's be real. Okay, so that's what most saunas are, heaters in a box. Okay, so as we've already talked about, research studies, of which there's many out there, they apply to any sauna. Okay, they apply to any sauna, any infrared sauna. Okay, it's not necessarily more correlated with this one. Or at least if they are saying that it is, they haven't really explained how it's correlated specifically with those studies that they cited, right? Okay, in terms of how they built something different. I haven't found any information on that. Okay, so as we move down, rapid heating system. Okay, so just to be clear, so in some of the models, they use a different sort of heating element. This is, just to be clear, this is not... hold on a second. Let me back up a second here. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, cool. So what is a little, what confused me here for a second, is that, let me just click on this one for you here for a second. In this emitter, let me zoom in here a little bit. Let me get here. So do you see how there's like a red thing right there? So 80% of the infrared sauna options on the market, they use a carbon emitter, is what they're called. Some saunas are using other elements. In this one, we have probably something that's like a tungsten filament or a tube, okay, tube in cool light rod, tungsten filament. It's basically a high wattage heater that I could critique for sure. They're generally heaters that are used more for convection heating, like room heating or space heating, not usually used in infrared saunas for certain reasons. But they've chosen to use one here. Now, that's not to say that you can't get therapeutic effects out of something like that, okay? Because when they showed the person's back right here, as you can see, and I'm sure they took some thermal imaging photos. I mean, it's not hard to do, and I actually think it's a good thing to do. I actually have a video showing some thermal imaging of emitters on a sauna, a particular brand, to show how efficient they are. But anyways, I have no doubt that this probably looks legit. You see how it's like whiter in that spot right there? See that? So that's a high amount of infrared right there. So it's in the exact same shape. Look, it almost looks like it left an imprint right on the person's back. So I'm sure that's legit. It's probably not Photoshop or something like that. So basically, see that actually I got to say this is kind of interesting. Let me see if I can zoom in here for a second. Now, other systems, okay, our system. Let's take a look at this thermal imaging right here. Look at the dimensions of this square. What do you see running down the center of that? You see a line where there's obviously a very strong thermal heating element, like an infrared heated element, correct? Now let's look at this one here. It's almost about the same shape, right? And again, we see that line consistently down there. Okay? Now, using this type of thermal heating rod is very uncommon. I only know one other company, and I think it's called Physiotherm in Europe, that puts this type of heater behind the bench, okay, behind the person. Okay? I only know of one other company does that. Now, there's a few other companies that use tube incolloid rods, which is different than this heating element. Okay, there's a few companies that do that, but this one almost looks. I mean, I would say that this is, especially if this is the case, this is nearly identical. It honestly strikes me as, and again, because so few companies, as I said, even do that. Other systems are most likely going to be carbon emitters. And if they're ceramic emitters, which is the other common thing, like convex, they don't leave an impression like that with a line down the middle. And neither does a carbon either. A carbon actually is a broader, and it actually leaves more of an impression like that. But having this distinct line down the center, it honestly makes me think that other systems, what they did was they possibly, this is my hypothesis, is they stuck this person inside their system, their sauna, for maybe 5 minutes, or a shorter period of time, had him come out, take a thermal imaging photo, and then they had them go back in for longer, for say 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is. As more infrared energy goes through the body, the circulation of the body starts to run some of that heat down the peripheral. It starts to spread the heat, okay? That's what happens when you sit in a sauna for longer. This is what happens when you sit in a sauna for less time. My hypothesis here, because this is a very weird, very distinctly similar, that they just stuck this person probably in for shorter, took a photo, said and claimed that it was other systems, and then stuck them in for longer and said it was our system. So it appears like it's more efficient, basically. Do you see how that works? I mean, I think those are very fair, like logical conclusions here, because again, this is extremely telling, that line down the middle and almost the exact same square right there. And as I said, other systems, this heater in the back is extremely rare. I only know of one other company that does that uses something like that. And it's in Europe, and like almost nobody knows about it, and they barely market. Like 99% of sauna owners, they don't have that other brand, okay? So, yeah. Anyways, that's my conclusions of this. But also, if you want any sauna infrared heater will produce this effect as long as you're in it for about 30 to 40 minutes. And I know that from doing thermal imaging myself. Okay, it just takes time for the blood to disperse and spread the energy. That's why you don't hop in a sauna for 5 minutes, right? The more benefits you can obtain actually happen when you're in saunas for longer. In fact, one of the really intense protocols that gets good results is you do about an hour, then you take a 30-minute break, and then you do another hour. You do 2 hours in a day, and you do that only once a week, okay? So again, that'll happen as long as you're in a sauna for long enough. If you're in for a very short period of time, whether it's a ceramic emitter, a tubing colloid rod, or probably this one, if you're in there for a short period of time, it'll usually look for something like that. Enough heat has not gotten into the body yet, and so it's not really trying to expel or disperse that heat. Okay, so I know this review is getting crazy technical, but people like this stuff. So, all right, medical hot cold cleansing system. I honestly, guys, I just couldn't figure it out. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know about hot and cold or whatever. I don't know. I don't understand. But I will tell you, I'll give you a couple little tips. If you want to get the max benefits out of infrared, according to research, you don't want to jump in your infrared sauna and then take a cold shower after or do an ice bath. You do not want to do that, okay? You will actually cut some of the benefits. You want your body to learn how to adapt to heat and to cool itself down, okay? So wait at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so. And actually they found with some studies from another portable sauna brand, which actually has some actual studies on its actual brand, which is interesting. You can always email me about it. They found that actually if you would lay down horizontally after using their sauna, this other brand, that it would increase the oxygenation benefits into muscles. And that sauna does put out a unique wavelength. I will give them that, but probably my guess is that if you lay down for a bit, 20 minutes, 30 minutes after your infrared sauna, you're going to probably get whatever infrared sauna you're using, you're probably going to enhance the benefits for several reasons. So that might be a good recommendation if you're trying to improve oxygenation maybe a little bit to your tissues. Might be a good idea to lay down afterward just for a short while. But either way, you don't want to jump into something cold. So if you want to rinse off in your shower, just keep it on warm, rinse off for 5 minutes, a couple minutes, and then just jump out and pat yourself dry, okay? And then let yourself cool down. You want your body to learn to adapt, okay? And if you're going to make it super cold, obviously your body's not adapting, right? You're getting a strong cold stimulus, okay? So that's really actual useful education, what I just gave you, okay? I don't really understand what they're saying here. I don't know what they're talking about. Trademarks, just so you know, when you see trademarks next to various products, not just infrared saunas, trademarks don't necessarily mean anything at all. They just look good from a marketing branding purpose, but you can trademark literally anything you want. I think a trademark is useful if it might be tied to a specific function that maybe is actually unique or tied to a patent of some kind. By the way, the most patented company in the industry is Sunlight and Saunas. I think they maybe have 12 patents, maybe even more at this point. I haven't checked in years. They actually have a lot of ones. I am one of their online dealers. I am a dealer for several brands, several companies. But they do actually have a lot of, that's the most patented company in the market. And there's only, actually, believe it or not, there's only a couple other brands that actually have patents on their saunas. Almost every single sauna company has no patents. Think about that for a second. Most companies have no patents on their saunas. What does that mean? They're getting from generics factories, and they're almost virtually identical or totally identical to other brands. Okay? Right? Think about it. Think about it logically. Okay? So if something is so unique, and this is not just for like this company or this goes for any product. Okay? If something is so unique according to a company's claims, okay, regardless of a trademark, if it is so unique and important therapeutically, wouldn't it be good enough to patent? Wouldn't you not want another company? Or are you saying that you may have something that another company doesn't have? So again, you're always wanting a company in general to back up what appears to be a claim. Insulated airflow system. It sounds like they might have something unique, right? It sounds like there could be a claim here. Okay? Unwanted temperature fluctuations. Poorly designed saunas. Okay? The installation of a sauna is just as important as the heating system. Okay, so I'll be honest, I didn't fully do my due diligence on if they actually have insulation in their sauna. Most infrared saunas versus traditional saunas and outdoor saunas don't have insulation in infrared saunas because you generally don't need insulation in infrared saunas based on how the emitters work these days, how advanced we are in the industry, and how thermostats work. Okay? So, do you need insulation? No. But if you were going to stick your sauna in a colder climate, maybe in a garage, things like that, you can discuss with me and I can help you kind of figure it out. Maybe having some insulation in your sauna or getting a traditional sauna or doing other little hacks might be useful if you want your sauna to perform well, like heating up in an efficient period of time or reaching its max temperature. But no, I did not do my due diligence on this brand. If there actually is some unique insulation in the sauna, this infrared sauna, if they do actually have some, and they can actually prove it, right, that they have actually some insulation in their sauna, that would be unique, okay, as far as infrared saunas go. Generally, in most situations, do you need that insulation? No, you do not, okay, for it to work extremely well and for you to get lots of benefits. And again, we're always trying to make a value assessment, right? Do you need to spend $7,000, $10,000, $4,000, or whatever their price happens to be, right? We're always trying to justify the price. I also know that these emitters right here are high wattage emitters. They're more like room heaters versus used for like the body, tuned for the body. So I know because these are more convection-like, as in like heating a room, I bet the sauna actually, this sauna probably definitely does not need insulation because these are, again, higher wattage, more like convection sort of room heaters versus like carbon emitters or even like solid ceramic convex heaters or even tube-in Kool-Aid rods for that matter. If you see a sauna that has it more like a rod, this is not necessarily a rod, it's more of a bulb. It's actually more, it's similar, but you can always ask a company. If it's a tube-in Kool-Aid rod, that's actually that's repurposed from like hot water heaters. They actually are more designed for heating water. So I'm not a big fan of tube-in Kool-Aid rods. This is not necessarily a tube-in Kool-Aid rod, by the way, but there are a few brands in the market have a little bit of brand recognition actually that use tube-in Kool-Aid rods. So 3D heat therapy, a lot of interesting arrows. No explanation really. I have no idea what that is. They didn't really explain what that is. So, if anybody actually has an answer on this being like an actual system that does something unique or that there, whatever, just let me know. But I mean, I don't really see any explanation for what that is. And looking at the sauna, I don't see anything that would lead to that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You just have emitters on the walls, just like every other sauna, A safe cool down system. So again, it's really challenging to catch what is an actual claim when it's not like phrased in a way that it's like, oh my God, it's very clear that it's a claim. But if you read this sentence, you guys have to get good at this stuff. No one on the market has engineered an airflow system that creates a safer and more efficient cool down stage after your sauna. Okay, so that actually is a claim. Okay, so the question is, hey, medical saunas, can you show me your evidence in your engineering and your specification of your airflow system that creates a safer and more efficient cool down stage? Can you prove or show why it's safer and efficient? Okay, so that's actually a claim, and you need to actually have evidence for this. Okay, so again, you guys have to kind of use your logic. If this was like so important or significant, you would actually have like an explanation of this process, right? So again, I didn't do my due diligence on if this is, but I am giving you the steps and the clues on what to request, okay, and see if this is the case. But I'm just going to tell you right now that generally speaking, your body has built in cooling. Okay, part of so two things. When it comes to safety, okay, where are potentially some contraindications? Some contraindications are if an individual is known to have very high blood pressure, or has a lot of blood pressure issues, or thickening, they might be on blood pressure or blood thinning medications, or they might have some other medical type of condition that's related to their cardiovascular system, okay? Might be related to all the above, okay? Now these people, of course, we're going to recommend that before buying any type of sauna or doing heat therapy or even doing a hot bath or using a jacuzzi, that they talk to their doctor, right? Wouldn't that be the first step? Okay. So a lot of people, not okay, say so some few people in those situations, some heat therapy might be contraindicated. Okay. Now for those people who aren't in those sort of situations, generally any sort of heat therapy or sauna therapy is safe. When you first start with doing any kind of sauna therapy, you don't want to do some marathon. Be like, oh, I'm going to try to stay in here for 2 hours and not drink any water, and let's see if I pass out, right? Let's not be ridiculous about it, okay? You'd always want to start and slowly, gradually work your way out, okay? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you get the idea, okay? Stay hydrated, okay? And you slowly see how you respond, okay? Saunas have been around a long time, and they're very well studied. They're all very safe, except for the few contraindications, as long as you don't do things stupidly, okay? Oh, I didn't drink water all day, then I had some coffee, and I drank alcohol the night before, and I stuck myself for 2 hours and tried to push myself. It's like, why would you do that? So as long as you're using and thinking responsibly, I mean, saunas are generally safe. Why are they safe? Because if you go do your 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, your body can cool itself down, okay? This is why when you sweat and it's hot outside in the summer, you don't pass out and die. Duh. Okay, so this is also why you want to heat yourself up in sauna and metabolically train your body to adapt to the heat and learn how to cool itself down more efficiently. Okay, so instead of being some specially devised cool down efficient system in the sauna, if this is even real, why would you want that? When part of the benefits are training and having your body adapt to the resilience of heat exposure. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay? It's for the same reasons that you should not do a cold shower after. You should not, I mean, you can do a cold shower, by the way, if it's like a minute long. I'm not going to suggest a long cold shower where you're actually cooling yourself down, by the way, just to be clear. But again, why you don't want to artificially cool yourself down, okay? You want your body to do it and slowly over 30 minutes to an hour. And your body will dispel that infrared heat very rapidly. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, okay? Unless you put like a bunch of thick clothes on or something like that and a jacket right after, right? But, so do you see what I'm saying? So like, even if this is a thing, see how confusing this is? Oh my God. I know some people are like, their heads must be spinning. So like, even though this sounds good, okay? Generally, unless you have some health contraindication potentially and should avoid like really high heat, generally it is good. It's a good thing to have a stressor in the case of infrared or general sauna therapy. It's good, just like exercise is a stressor. You're pushing yourself. So there's good stress. But that also doesn't mean that everybody should be working out intensely or everybody should be using a sauna or everybody should be experiencing a stressor. Everybody is in a different situation. Like if somebody's very sick with a chronic condition, depending on what it is, their ability to adapt to that stress actually might not be that good. And so there might be other contraindications possibly, okay, to doing heavy exercise or maybe doing sauna therapy. You're welcome to talk to me about that or talk to your doctor, okay? So for some people, sometimes they should just use an infrared mat. Sometimes they should do things very gradually and very, very low intensity and just experience a very passive amount of infrared energy going into just part of their body over a few hours, but at an extremely low setting, okay? So they're just barely getting infrared energy, okay, in a rather cool room where they feel comfortable. Do you see how that works? So everybody's a little bit different. There are safe ways to still experience infrared and slowly, consistently work your way up, okay, to maybe using a sauna. So again, I coach people on that. So again, I just want to say that in the realm of infrared therapy, I wouldn't necessarily say there's a 100% absolute contraindication for everybody. there are ways to work with infrared energy that can still be used for those type of situations I named before, that can give a lot of benefits and help a person improve those different stats in their body, different systems, and eventually start to maybe do more high intensity sauna one day. Okay, so there's a path to doing that. So is this a thing that's really needed? Okay, this is a function or feature that's really needed, okay, for a sauna. No, I don't believe so, based on the reasons and what we're trying to do in a sauna. Okay, the body already has built-in mechanisms for efficiently, safely cooling itself down. Correct? That's what a healthy body does, and that's the point of becoming healthier using a sauna versus having something else do it for you. Okay, so skin rejuvenation cleansing system, not really explained. It's just a bunch of heaters, infrared heaters. Okay, just like any sauna. Okay, so by the nature of using a sauna, any type of sauna, sweating, you'll get these benefits. Okay, you'll even get some of these benefits in taking a hot bath, okay, or a steam room, just to be clear. Although with the steam room you get a lot of water on the pores and body, and you will tend to generally sweat more if you don't have steam. Just FYI, just to be clear. Also, if you want more benefits with this, I'm using vibration, whole body vibration training, a rebounder, mini trampoline, and skin brushing is a great thing to enhance all of that. Okay, that's what really actually would improve the efficacy of what's talked about here, those types of things. And if you want some guidance on those other sorts of modalities or products, let me know. Fun facts. Okay. Generally, yes, it's all true about medical sauna, or about, I'm sorry, it's all true about saunas. In all of these different aspects discussed here about saunas, remember that all of these kind of explanations of the different aspects to the body, all of these have been found in research to be something that can be obtained with traditional sauna therapy, so like a Finnish traditional sauna, and infrared saunas, okay, and also even with infrared mats, okay, all of these different things. So from a marketing standpoint, they would stick medical saunas branded at the beginning of this statement, so the consumer would read this and think like, oh, I really want this benefit right here. Oh, okay, I can achieve this benefit with a medical sauna, okay? But in reality, this process right here is just a general finding about saunas and infrared saunas, okay, that you can obtain with other brands, okay, just to be clear. So again, I'm teaching you about marketing and how to be discerning about marketing. Now, I appreciate that they put some references down here. That's awesome. There's so many great studies out there. But again, when you go and look up these studies and you read them, they're not about medical saunas. They're just in general about sauna therapy. And again, all these studies, they apply to other saunas. The reason we know that, of course, is because when you look at the actual studies, they are performed with other saunas or generic sauna elements that were made just for the study. They weren't like done with like a medical sauna or anything like that. Okay, just to be clear. I know it's crazy, right? So I think that's probably all I have to say because it's a long little video. But hopefully you found it really educational. Again, one thing I was looking for that they really didn't have here was the certifications on their product. I would really like to see that. I also had some questions that they didn't really answer for me about the cloth coverings right here. They cover the emitters, and I wanted to make sure that those were non-toxic fabrics that they were using right there. And also the EMF, electrosmog levels. I didn't really see any information on that, and if that was independently tested as well. I wanted to see if that was the case also. I also asked as well if they were using plywood in the exterior portion of the roof, not the inside, but on the outside, and also underneath the floorboard on the exterior, underneath the floor, if they were using plywood at all. But if anybody gets answers to the plywood question, let me know. It is something that is used in about 85% of saunas and does run the risk of off-gassing. So yeah, if anybody has that answer, you're welcome to post it here in the comments. So I hope you all found this helpful. If you are looking for general education about other sauna brands and things like that, I'm a dealer for, I think, 8 sauna companies at this point, and would be happy to chat with you. You can find my email below.